My name is Denis Kurtovic, and I'm a student at the University of Illinois in engineering at electrical engineering. And I've always, I came from Islamic background. My grandparents were Islamic, so I wanted to find out more about my background because my parents never picked it up. So I took the class to see how it would be, and I wanted to kind of get the general consensus of how the Muslim identity on campus was through the actual students. And I broke my interviews down into three different groups, and I had four different interview subjects. I had two non-practicing Muslims, one practicing, very strictly practicing Muslim, and one non-Muslim. And I was only able to get males for my subjects, so I feel that might hinder the representation of all the people on campus, but it helps kind of show how the general feelings are on campus. The first thing that I noticed was when I talked to my Muslim interviewee, he told me that when he grew out his beard at one point during his first semester, that he got a lot of dirty looks and he got a lot of negative comments towards him, such as people actually told him one time that they said the exact words were actually I don't have the exact words, but they told him pretty much things like he shouldn't be here and that he should just kind of not get out of sort of America. And when he eventually cut his beard, people were treated him normally, and they were open to him. And during the time that he did have his beard, there was a group called Crusades for Christ at PAR, which would keep calling him to come down and try to learn about Christianity because they knew he was an Islamic student. So they kept trying to call him eventually, and until he had to personally tell them to stop, that he wanted to that he believed in his religion and he didn't want to be influenced. Another incident I saw was when I was observing students on campus. I noticed that when I went to Miyazas at one point, you could see that a group of Muslim, well, I wouldn't say Muslim, but you would notice that it was a group of students that there was two women in a hijab, and there was a group of three other men who had fully grown beards. So you could make an assumption that they were Muslim students, and you could see that there was a lot of people giving them looks around, just because people just have this general consensus that since the way we've grown up in America, that people have fear the Islam without actually knowing what they're fearing. But the other issue I've noticed is that there isn't really a fair representation of Muslims on campus, because you notice that when you consider Muslims, if I asked many of my all four of my subjects what a Muslim was, and the answer I got from all four of them was that they were people who practice Islam. And then when I asked them, who do you associate with that, and many of the answers were Middle Easterns, or people from the Middle East, or people from Southeast Asia. But there's also people from such as the areas like Bosnia and Turkey who also would be considered there. So as one of my non-practicing Muslims, he was a Turkish representative, and he considered himself a Muslim. But I asked him if other people would consider him a Muslim, but he said no. Even people really wouldn't see him as a Muslim, even though he does actually pray every morning. He doesn't follow the strict ritual, but he does pray. He still does pray, and people wouldn't really know that because we've kind of grown up in America with this view that we've just kind of associated, especially after 9/11. In one of the readings I read, Maria Sunani was called "Missing Youth Citizenship and Empire After 9/11." The two interview subjects the two interviews she conducted, she noticed that people are really tending to not really know much about Islam and not much about how it's perceived throughout America, because of incidents such as 9/11, where we've kind of blocked off. We've kind of had the media has been stereotyping, and we haven't really got to interact completely with the complete population in the United States, which also relates back to the campus, because the campus is a direct representation of America because it's so diverse, and this is the first step where students come in and get to take a chance and learn about the actual different groups of people. So I also saw at one point when I was walking through campus, there was a group of women and men or women in hijab and men, just men sitting, and they were playing folk songs and playing with a mini conga, and people were very curious about what was going on. And I sat down for a while and I was looking around, and I walked by at one point, and you could see that there was a Quran phrase that they had written on a poster board, and people were coming over and people were curious. It wasn't a general consensus that people were. You would see people giving looks that like confusion as to what was going on, but you would also see people who were curious. So you can also see that people want to know about the Muslim identity on campus, and people want to know like what they're doing and like why they're doing these things. And I think from a few of my interviews, from especially like one of my non-practicing friends, and especially for my practicing friend, he realized that there's the community here is a great community with organizations such as the Muslim Students Organization, and it's they realized that the community here, even though the community here is great, like especially for the practicing Muslim, he realized that since he's gotten here, it's been a lot harder to kind of begin to trust people because of all the events that have been leading up to coming to college, and that when he was actually back at home, he's been able to establish a long-term relationship with like all the community there. So he's been able to integrate within their community. So he's able to open up a lot more. So the difficulty of keeping religious on campus, like from the people I've known, one of my non-Muslim interviewees he's thinking of converting to Christianity because he has a fear of what the Muslim population is on campus. He has a fear of what people, especially the media, such as the media, the other groups of people, how they're going to judge him later on. So it's hard trying to be a student on campus and also deal with that kind of criticism. But I also when I talked to my Muslim interviewee, he was very open about how he has found it a lot easier for him to stay with his religion because he has seen a lot of his friends have turned away from Islam because of the fear of campus, and how it's been a lot harder to, even with all the resources available, it's still a pretty hard process. So he's seen it. He uses their sort of I would say he would call it betrayal, and to kind of motivate why he is able to stay with the religion. So in conclusion, I was able to realize that realize that because the campus is so similar to actual America, we're able to realize that that since the campus has a variety of different people, we can see that the way that people generalize or stereotype, I would say, of the Muslim students is a direct correlation to the way that America stereotypes Muslims, and this reason tends to stem directly from events such as 9/11. But even after all these events, the campus does provide a great group of a tight-knit community such as the Muslim Student Association and the mosque that help people get through these differences, or help get through pretty much the whole issues that have been going on in the past decade or so, and even after that.